Good afternoon, all of you.
Good afternoon, sir.
This is my first visit to the museum. Actually, I was nominated as member of Board of Studies here during COVID. Hope I'm audible. So, I think I don't not habitual of using it. What happened during COVID, although I was the Vice Chancellor at that time, Madam asked me to review the proposals of PhD synopsis or whatever you call it. I've been a teacher since '91, and teachers need to be positive, and that's why if you criticize something, there's no use of that. You suggest something in a positive manner, that may help someone. I was not having an idea that Madam has submitted a proposal and got it sanctioned from the funding agency. So that's news for me, and I'm really happy for that. I hope you are the research scholars from different disciplines. How many of you are from public administration? Oh, good number. Economics? One only. Thanks God. Economics people are more exact. In public administration, exactness is somewhere missing. So we are opinion builders, leader builders, and like anything. So, and sociology, social work. Then sociology is mother of research methodology. PV Young and Godenda Hat, so many kinds of the things are there. And I tell you, for the public administration people, often the paper sets a particular question on research methodology for so many years, not about, I think, up to 2020, I've been the paper setter for that. Even if I'm not the paper setter, my friend used to ask me to set some questions and send it to us so that it can be given in the net examination. So other people from philosophy, is there anyone? No, philosophy is not a subject. Then social work is also there, I think. And this is applied of, we say that science of, political science also? No? 2, 3, 4. Good. But my topic is a different one. It is academic writing and the report writing. It is almost common to all. And although those are the similar topic, not much different from each other, but their orientation is a little bit different. So in that case, let's start with the first topic. This is academic writing, papers for journal publication. You are the young scholars and future academicians, also researchers of the scientists. About a decade ago, more than a decade I think, I started a journal, Public Affairs and Governance. It is interdisciplinary journal, biannual, and this is in real sense I started it because I got so many things from the discipline of public administration and from this profession of teaching. And then I thought that there are, because in public administration at that time there used to be one research journal, that is Indian Journal of Public Administration. And the research scholars particularly and the young teachers, they couldn't get space in that journal. And there was another journal also, but that was also on annual basis. Then I started this, I'm the chief editor of that journal now also. And the people, particularly the assistant professors and from Bangladesh, almost all universities. In Bangladesh, all state universities and public university, they call it, they have some conditions that you have to publish 2-3 papers. Only then you can become assistant professor. Earlier, they are appointed as the lecturer. Moreover, since that is a country, poor country, and scholarships are available outside Bangladesh by we say Europe and the US also. And that's the conditions, and they keep on contributing. This is that journal. It's going well. We don't charge anything from that. But now, after COVID, because of some reasons, the publisher, that is indianjournal.com, that started to charge 500 rupees handling charges. I don't know, without taking permission from me, they started charging it. But the question is that particularly you people must have an opportunity to contribute something. And after contribution, since there are certain conditions requiring to get degree awarded, and for another purposes also, that's why I started it, and that's why I'm not asking that you contribute to that. I'm asking that that kind of the space needs to be there, and I have the experience to do that. So first of all, we will start with this academic writing. And the important aspect is, that is, what is this academic writing? I'm not going in much detail, simply stating that it's a style of writing, and used in some universities, or we can say in certain research institutions, and we say that for scholarly publication particularly. Maybe in the form of report, maybe in the form of thesis, maybe in the form of the research paper, maybe in the form of an article also. Then it may be a review article, different kind of the things are there. But this is only a style. And style means that is, there are certain important conventions, particularly in terms of contents, structures, and style. Because the reason is that there are certain expectations in academics, and those expectations need to be fulfilled by that academic writing. It cannot be a simple writing. We say that when we write an essay, and sometimes essay is also a scholarly writing. It may be an academic writing, but sometimes essay is not considered to be an academic writing. The question is, when the content styles, and we say that the structure of the essay is like that one. I think some of you may be aspiring for the civil services. Is anyone there who is preparing for the civil service PSC examination? No? Okay. Since I have the experience, there is an essay paper in UPSC examination, and that essay paper that requires that 2 essays they have to write it. And the UPSC has laid down a convention, that is, the contents will be checked by the teachers from the social sciences, not by the English or Hindi teacher, that's the language teacher, but by the social science teachers also. Now the experience, and at that time I came to know that that is an academic writing, even essay is academic writing, because you have to write something in that particular format, in that particular style. And there needs to be certain contents which are expected by the examiner or by the paper setter, particularly for that essay. So that writing means when something is being conveyed which is of academic nature, then it is, and if it is written in that style, then we say it is an academic writing. I'll tell you that there are certain elements or the characteristic of academic writing. This is one of the important thing is, it is a formal one. It cannot be in an informal language. This is a very important aspect. Then when you are writing it, although the quality, or we can say that the level of that formality, that depends not only upon the author but also the topic, as well as we say that the nature of the contents also. But we have to keep it for number one. This is a very important aspect, that your thesis writing or research paper writing, that cannot be in formal language. And when we say informal language, then we cannot use I, we, you, this kind of the things are not there. Not only that one, it should be unbiased one. We should not appreciate anything and we should not criticize anything. This is important. We should present the things in the way it is existing, that is based on evidences. If the facts are telling it, then you can explain these are the facts. And on the basis of that, you have to be unbiased to arrive at any conclusion. This is a very important one. And in slide you will find that it should not be personal you, me and I, that should not be used. It should not be a conversation between the group of people or between the individual and even between the institution, that should not be there. Clear, precise and not long-winded. The important thing is, when you write something, there should we use the sentences from opening sentence to the last sentence. Normally, it should be not a big sentence. It should not be. Sometimes what we do, that we present two facts in one sentence. It should not be like that. Rather, the first sentence must be connected to the next sentence and next sentence to another next sentence. In your research paper or in your thesis, the first sentence must have a linkages with the last sentence of your thesis or of your research paper. If it is not there, then we cannot say it is clear. And precise means unnecessary discussion, unnecessary elaboration, which is not focused on the purpose of writing, or on the purpose of that academic writing, maybe research paper or the thesis. That should not be there. It should be in a precise manner. Means that the length, sometimes what happens, I don't know what is the pattern here in this university, but normally the thesis or the research paper, if you say, so in case of research paper, it is 5,000 words. Normally the research publications or the journals, they ask, it may be 5,000, it may be 6,000, it may be 4,000. Rather, some journals suggest, because of the space, that 3,000 to 5,000 or 6,000. In between this, it is all right, and that's why sometimes you have so many information, so much data to write about it. If you have not been able to to write it comprehensively or in a precise manner, then it may not be a scientific writing, or it may not be termed as the academic writing. And that's why the sentences must be simple, those must be clear, writing must be precise, and it should not be long-winded one. That is, everything is cooked in one sentence. That should not be there. Not only that one, focused and structure means that is sequence, you have to follow it. Then again, not only the sequence, that there must be certain orders. The information you start with and the last information, there must be linkages and the coherence must be there. And the information or whatever you discuss, that must be with the objective of the research paper. What is the purpose of that research paper? Why you started that research paper? Why you are writing that research paper? So in academic writing, focusing on that particular aspect, as well as keeping it as structured one, that's an important issue. Then emotive and grandiose, that should not be there. Sometimes we say, we love, this is Mizoram, we love it. But if we are expressing the things, then this must be based on facts, not on emotional expressions. In each and every kind of, sometimes it is not good, sometimes it is good. Sometimes it is required to be presented in that way. But that depends upon the purpose. If you are, the paper is on appreciating the Mizoram culture, then you need to be emotive. But if it is not, then in that circumstances, that's why this should not be. And important aspect is academic writing must be well sourced, based on sources. Whatever you write, because you are not the first one who is researching on a particular theme or particular topic. You are not the first one that you started academic writing on that particular theme or topic. There are so many people, they might have discovered some facts and presented in somewhere, maybe the different aspects. You are writing something in a different perspective. But to tell about the background and what already research has already been taken place, or what the researcher has done, researched on that particular aspect, that has to be presented. This is an important aspect. We will discuss on that aspect. But the question is the sources, particularly if you say you might be using Wikipedia. Is that a reliable source of information? It should not be. Sometimes that I was scrutinizing the research paper of some teacher, faculty members, and the two of his research papers are in third concept. There is a one journal. Have you heard about the third concept? No. And I was a student. I started my career. Someone suggested me to write something in third concept. And in that third concept, I sent a paper, it was published. But I am not referring it anywhere because that is not of quality. The question is, whatever you are referring in your research paper, in your academic writing, that should be from a source which is a reliable one, which is, you can say, of quality or standing. This is an important aspect. The question is, the quality of your research paper largely depends upon the sources you have utilized for writing that academic writing. Sometimes what the people do, there are only 3, 4 references or 10 references in a research paper. So normally that is not of good quality, that cannot be termed as the scientific, because in social science research particularly, integration of knowledge, that is one of the objectives. Why we do research? There are 2, 3 areas or 2, 3 things we do. Either we say that we made certain new discoveries of facts, or sometimes let's say that there may be certain gaps in the knowledge, we try to fill up those gaps in the knowledge. Sometimes we say that there are certain, certain knowledge or certain statements or certain principles. We wanted to verify those principles or those pattern or those, whatever you call hypothesis. Sometimes let's say that whatever the statement or proposition is there, whether that is correct or not correct, that is to find out the correctness of that statement, we do research. Then there is another important objective is that while doing all these things, these 4 things, then we have to integrate the knowledge, only then we can say with certainty, or rather with a fair certainty. It is not absolute certainty, because uncertainty itself gives rise to the research process. So this is an important aspect, well sourced. If you can refer you can give references and utilize those sources, maybe the 50, maybe the 60, maybe 100, then it is really termed as a good quality research paper. And another important thing is academic writing, that it should be correct and it should be consistent. So with these elements we can say these are some of the things we then we say that particularly I am coming to this particular aspect research paper. Normally there are certain mistakes in this writing a research paper for publication in a journal must have following contents or the following parts, or you can say the section, whatever you want to use the word, everything is correct. First of all, it is the title and title page. The second important aspect is the abstract and then introduction about the research paper, and then experimental details, results, discussions, conclusion and summary. I'll take up one by one. First is the title and title page. Your research paper must have a title, and the title should be in such a manner that it reflects the content of the paper. By just going through the title, maybe of 4 or 5 words, maybe of 10 words, it should not be very lengthy, very much crispy, and if it is attractive, you can make it attractive, nothing like that. So title should reflect the content, and it must be as short as possible, but it should contain keywords, because while indexing, sometimes we use the keywords also. Even some research journal ask you that you write about the keywords so that it can be researched upon or it can be properly indexed, and we say that this is an important aspect. And this is another important, after writing the title, then you have to give about your affiliations. In case of your affiliations, you write that is your name, we say that maybe a single author, maybe the double or maybe more than that. But for each and every one, the affiliations, that the department, university or whatever the institution you belong, that should be there. And sometimes even this is mail ID and phone number is also being asked by the research journals, but that is not so common nowadays because everything is online and the submission is online, and that's why the mail is already there. But the corresponding order, because if it is more than one writer, or in that case, corresponding writer must be there so that it can be found. Then again, it should be on a separate page. Otherwise, the mostly writing is like this, or when it appears in the research journal, first title, then the author, and then we say that affiliation is there. But when you are submitting it, it should be on a separate page. The reason being, sometimes there is a blind review. Normally, the name and that kind of the things are not sent. Most of the journals or the journal of repute, they are not sending that title page to the reviewer, only sending the paper, so that there may be, we say that, unbiased review of that research paper. This is the first part of a academic writing, or you can say that this is the, in real sense, the way, that is the first content of the research paper. The second, after that affiliation or that title, they are asked to write about the abstract. Abstract should be in the briefest term possible. This is an important aspect. Normally, it describes the topic or the theme of the whatever title you use, its scope, principal findings and conclusions. I am repeating this aspect. That is, we say that it describes the theme of the topic. Second, the scope means what aspects of that particular theme you have explored in that particular writing, and the principal findings and conclusion. And the important thing is that all the aspects or the contents of the research paper, that should be there in the abstract. Now, sometimes you say that if you are writing a research paper in 5,000 words, I'm taking as the standard, 5,000 words, then how many words be there in the abstract? You have to describe it in 200 words. Sometimes we say that it can be 300 words, But normally 200 is a standard. Some research paper may ask even 150 words also. That depends upon many things. First, if the space is a problem, particularly in some of the research papers which are research journals which are of repute, what's happening that so many research contributions are submitted to them, and reviewer, particularly the editor, they look at the review. If they found that it is worth reviewing only, then they send it, otherwise they don't send it. And the question is, that is the face of the article, face of the research paper. You are likely to be teacher and faculty members or maybe researcher. Sometimes just having an interaction, how you present yourself, that itself tells about your intellectual level, that depends upon the depth of your personality. That's an important aspect. And similarly, abstract is like that. So, the most difficult part, if I say, to prepare in a research paper is to summarize every aspect of the research paper in 150 words or 200 words, or sometimes it is, if it is a very lengthy and covering many aspects of a theme, then in that circumstances it may be 250 words and even up to 300 words. Not only that one, that research articles are indexed. Sometimes what happens, and that research journals are sending your abstract for indexing. And when they are sending for indexing, then no doubt in case of the indexing, then minimum words are required and only keywords which are used there. And that's why that abstract is a very important aspect, and that tells about the quality that determines the possibility or probability to be included in or to be selected for publication or not. This is again an important, and while writing it, you must be very watchful. Another important thing is sometimes what happens. Some conferences and national seminars, etc., they ask the people, researchers or academicians, to send their abstract so that it can be taken into consideration whether to call or not to call. And if you have not any idea about your research paper, and if you have not worked or not having the rough draft of the research paper, don't send it. Because the quality national seminars or the conferences, they are not selecting. Because the question is, that abstracts need to have what are your important or principal findings. This is an important. And without writing a research paper, how can you say these are our findings? This is an important aspect. Although, no doubt, this has become a practice. Many people, they keep on sending the abstract, and the number is not quite large, and that's why they may select you, or sometimes they wanted that there may be representation from the different academic institutions in that conference or that seminar. Only then, because of that, you are being called. Otherwise, in the real sense, abstract has to have the principal findings and conclusion and all the contents of the research paper, and that's no doubt along with the keywords. This is an important aspect, and that's why it should be there. And then, as we almost discussed about it, that it is the primary objective to communicate about the reader about the essence of the paper. We have done it. Then the second part is of the research paper, not second, third part. First is title, and the second is this abstract. The third part is introduction, or we say that introduction of research paper. This is important aspect. It is not simply introduction of research paper, and that's why I intentionally wrote it like this one. And what is this introduction? It is a clear statement of the research problem. What you want, What is your objective of writing that academic writing? Why you want to write this paper? You want to find out something. As I earlier said, either you are trying to discover new facts about a phenomena, or you are trying to fill up a gap, or you are trying to verify the knowledge, existing knowledge or existing hypothesis or existing proposition, whatever you call it. Because if it is not contributing in the correction of a knowledge, in filling up the gaps, or in finding new facts, then it is not a science, it is not a research. That's why the purpose of the research, purpose of the topic, purpose of the research paper with which you are writing, that is an important aspect, and that should be stated very much clearly in the opening paragraphs, particularly when we write the opening paragraphs. In that case, the first we start, what is the rationale of the topic? Significance. As for example, if we take into consideration, can you tell me, any one of you, have you started research? Anyone has identified the topic? Anyone can share the topic? Title of the topic? Can you share?
Women entrepreneurs, social support systems and skill development in Senapati district, Manipur.
Okay, women entrepreneurship.
Yes, sir.
Why you want? What is the significance of women entrepreneurship? This is an important aspect. You start with this idea. And since you say that it is in particular area, that's in Mizoram.
No, sir, it is in Manipur.
Manipur. So why it is in Manipur? That's a certain significance. If it is relevant, because there must be certain utility of that topic. If that utility is not there, then why to research? So opening paragraph for introduction of research paper that starts with this idea that we say that the significance, the importance, or the relevance, or the rationale. So everything is having same meaning. So that should be there. And another important thing is, in other words, we can say the objective of the research paper, why you want to write it, and why you are conducting research on this area. Can I ask you why are you conducting this research study?
Actually, sir, it is one of the important topics, especially in my place. As per my review, no one has done on women entrepreneurship. Whereas there are young women entrepreneurships, which those who have entered in the entrepreneurship, or say in entrepreneurs field, but they are also facing a lot of challenges. So with that, one of my...
Yeah, means you are discovering new facts about the women entrepreneurship in Manipur.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, since there is no research, and that's why you are trying to fill up that gap of the knowledge. And because without information you cannot plan, you cannot frame the policy, and the government is finding it difficult to extend the motivation or any kind of assistance required for that purpose. So that's why the research is there. There is a significance of that. This is in that way we can say. And another important thing is sometimes this paragraph significance, why it is interesting, as we discussed about with reference to that topic, we can say maybe there may be some research paper also on women entrepreneurship in Manipur or somewhere in the northeast also. I'm sharing some idea, I don't know if I'm correct or not. Normally if I found in hilly state of India, I visited some of the states, women entrepreneurship is there. Maybe in Jammu and Kashmir I conducted a research study there. In the 1980s, self-employment, 1980s, hope you were not on this earth at the time. So the question is, this is an important, there is a women entrepreneurship, there are. In case of Himachal Pradesh, again, I conducted a research study. I was a part of some research institution. And I found in Manipur also, so many people are my own, you say, own all shops and everything. It is, women are really visible. It means they are participating in economic activities in an active manner, and this way we can say that is this is an important thing. Why this has been there? This is an important aspect, and since if there is no such a study, then we need to study it so that we can understand the economic phenomena or entrepreneurship phenomena around the world. And that's why we said that I was telling something else, that while writing the significance or while writing the rationale of that particular theme or the topic of the research part, you must quote some research studies or some research paper of worth. You have to give the reference. If you are giving that, it may be a research paper, it may be a thesis, it may be a research report, it may be some study conducted by the government or the private agencies, maybe by the international agencies. Don't think that you are the only person who are doing it. I tell you one thing, really. When I was talking about the self-employment of women, there was, I don't know, not able to recall that 20-point economic program. It was during the Prime Ministership of Indira Gandhi that anti-poverty schemes were introduced after 1980s. 1980, and there were certain programs that is for the women entrepreneurs, particularly small entrepreneurship kind of the things were there. So we were there in the Srinagar, Jammu Kashmir. There are two Srinagars in India. It is Jammu Kashmir, Srinagar. So we were interviewing some entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. There were three teams. The bank officials, they were taking us together. One was from RBI, another was from the head office of State Bank of India, and myself from Punjab University, Chandigarh. We collectively, in one go, we interviewed the women entrepreneurs there. Means, I'm just to tell you that you are not the only one. Rather, so many people may understood it, are understanding the importance of that particular aspects of life. So that's why that has to be done. And we say this part should be again clearly, briefly, and that provides a background information about the research paper. This is again a very important, we say, in this case. And here we say that what has already been stated, either we are testing it, if we are not testing it, then it will provide a background to the topic. Because the reader is interested, that he is not interested only in the findings of the author or whosoever the writer of that research paper. Rather, he wanted to know each and every aspect relating to that, as for example, in this case, women entrepreneurship, and particularly relating to Manipur, and that provides a background, that is the introduction of the research paper. If you are writing just about the objective of your paper, if you are just writing the concept of women entrepreneurship, that is not sufficient. You have to write each and every kind of aspect. The question is, here the limitation of 500 words is there in the research paper, and that's why you have to write it clearly and briefly. This is again a very important aspect. In case of thesis, in the next two aspect, we can discuss that there is a liberty, you can write a little bit more, but it doesn't mean that it is in a grandiose manner. No, it cannot be like that one. Another important thing is, as for example, as he was asking women entrepreneurship, there is a linking between two, women and entrepreneurship. Then again she said it is only in Manipur. Another linkage is there with the Manipur. How can you know? Because you have to specify, you have to limit or restrict the scope of your study, because research is not an individual effort. It is a corporate affair. Many people are doing it, and the collaborations of many people, maybe not a direct one, and that's why that is description of relationship between the present work and scope and limitation of earlier research, that is why you wanted, why as you study, say that there is as such no research on this particular thing in Manipur, that is the objective, that is the rationale, that has to be identified. Even in research paper also, you have to identify why you are doing it. It should not be a repetition. This is a very important aspect, and I will say, and the review of literature, that should be there. If it is the thesis, then there may be a separate chapter on the review of literature. But if it is a research paper, then perhaps you may have not more than 500 words to write all pertaining to. This is pertinent literature. It does not mean that you write everything. Entrepreneurship in case of Delhi, that's a different one. There should not be, or entrepreneurship in general, that should not be there. Rather, it must be restricted to women, and if it is restricted to a particular age group of people, that may be all right. You have to take many kinds of the consideration, many factors, and that interlinkages have to be explained in that part of in the introduction part of the research paper. This is again important one. And naturally, your research question, your hypothesis, or your proposition, which you are going to test. In this research paper, that has to be done. This is why we can say, and while doing it, you have to tell why you are doing it. You have to tell it why you are doing it. Is there any interest? Why you are conducting? Yeah, again, I am asking you. Why are you conducting this kind of research? Why women entrepreneurship in Manipur? There may be certain things. Why you selected this topic? At the time of Viva, normally this question will be asked. Everyone put it.
Actually, I don't know how to put in the words, but this is one of the women entrepreneurship is one of the developing subjects where we try to bring them, encourage them to involve in women entrepreneurship so that they may be able to economically independent, which will empower them. But my objective is not mainly focusing on economics empowerment. Mine is the social support systems and their skill development. So though it is in Manipur, I'm in hilly states, so we do not get enough opportunities to get skill or that.
Now I'm intentionally asking that kind of question from you. She said that I am not interested in studying the economic empowerment of the women entrepreneurs. She is studying only one aspect of the study, that is what kind of the social support is there for developing the women entrepreneurship. It is a very general, there may be many studies on this aspect, that whether the entrepreneurship has led to the development of economic development or economic empowerment of women. No doubt, may not be in Manipur but outside also. It's an established fact. If entrepreneurship is there, then it may lead to the economic empowerment. It is an established fact, it is a general principle, and that's why we can test it. We can derive a part of it. That is there any support system? If there is a support system, it is a new addition to the knowledge. And that's why topic is a rational one. And that's why we say when clear descriptions of relationship we are talking about it, then we have to identify these aspects. That this is the clear descriptions. And that's why I asked you that this is required. In a research paper, you cannot take everything, only one aspect on one research question. Sometimes we say the journal research question, sometimes we say that it is a specific research question that depends upon. If it is a specific one, then in-depth understanding must be there. If it is a journal one, then horizontal kind of research is there, superficial research is there, and already that kind of the topics, the superficial generalization, those are already in our knowledge domain. That's why there is no need. only you are testing it, you are repeating it, and that is not a research of quality. The paper which are having that kind of the research. And again, within the social support system, family, friends, male, female, there are many specific questions relating to that aspect, and it has to be identified only after reviewing the literature on that particular aspect. Only then you can frame that kind of the specific question, that is the introduction of the research, and that tells the approach of your research aspect, and that's why on the basis of that it can be identified it is a good research or the relevant research, or it is going to contribute to the new knowledge or not. This is again a very important aspect. Then next aspect is, you just tell me the timing so that when to stop on this topic. Another important thing is that I have written it experimental details, but in social sciences, experimentation is not that much. No doubt there are certain social experimentations taking place. Only for this purpose to tell you that social experimentation is going on nowadays. Particularly if is there anyone from psychology? Psychology and education, particularly, they are adopting case study methods, and in many, we say, rehabilitative studies, something like that, that is, they use the experimental details. Otherwise, for social scientists, information, evidences, and ideas also. There may be some information, but you call it maybe secondary information. Reports are there, literature is there based on that. As for example, in case of this literature, if you want to do research, then it is the information or literary information bit. And similarly in evidences data, primary data or certain facts, evidences with ideas sometimes in philosophy also. We do that kind of in sociology also, in social work also. There are certain ideas how to do the things in a better way. Someone is suggesting, sometimes let's say we observe one culture and another culture. There you find, as for example, I can tell you, in our India, that when we are assigning registration number to the vehicles, normally we write down, we say that state, that is, I would say that Mizoram MZ in your case. Then you are writing the district. There is a unique code given to a district or registration authority of a particular area. Then after that you are giving some numbers. In case of Indonesia, it is a different one. But they say, they start with the year of registration. Year of, if it is purchased in 98, then first is 98. Then the registration authority and the number. Then I asked from someone why you are giving the year. They say that that after certain years it has to be, licenses to be reviewed. If it is not reviewed, then the authorities can check it. That's an alternative idea, way of working. So this is, we can say, and which should be there. It depends upon the conditions. You have to suggest in your research paper. And that's why the paper should describe what actually done during the research. After selecting, after telling the background, you say that what kind of the research you have undertaken, you have to tell about that aspect. In case of experimentation, how you conducted the experiment, this is again an important aspect. In real sense, it is a succinct exposition of facts, information, ideas, where we describe the procedure, techniques, special precautions, policy, case studies, success stories, survey result, expert of, well, so many things. But everything is not there in your research paper. There may be only one aspect. As for example, in your case also, if we are telling, we may take into considerations about the policies of women entrepreneurship, how the government is contributing, how the support system is there from the social society, from the family members. You can discuss all these things because that will again I said that research paper is a structured one. You have to identify the things or the characteristics or the criteria or the aspects which is to be studied there. You cannot study each and every one. Only a few of the things, maybe the policy, maybe the program, maybe a case study also. Case study also that can be a research paper. So this is that even success story is there. Not only that one, there is another important thing. Sometimes what's happening, although it is mostly in case of reports or the thesis, but in research paper also, within 100 words or 150 words, people start writing, or someone, or some research journals are asking if that kind of the success story or case study is there, that is helping or that is lending a quality to that research paper. Case study is not a generalized thing. It is only one aspect. Success story is one aspect. It may not be true for all of the society in that particular kind of settings. But the question is, if someone can do it, it can be achieved. So this is that kind of the thing, and that's why this part is sufficiently detailed. Otherwise, other parts, I'm saying it should be as brief as possible. It should be in minimum words. But this is your work. It is your ideas. It is the different kind of the alternatives or alternative ideas you are using here. It is the survey data you are using here. It may be the success story also. That's why this may be in detail. But only thing is that limitation of 5,000 words, that should be there. And after this kind of the things, we can say that results is there, and that is relevant data, observation and findings that needs to be summarized. This is an important aspect, and if it is a primary data, then tabulation of data, charts, figures, everything can be used here. And on the basis of that data, if it is a survey-based research, and if it is an experiment also, only then also data is there. If it is sociology, then only qualitative information is there. Then you have to discuss that qualitative information. In case of psychology, if you conducted an experiment, psychological experiment, and based on certain reliable tools, and that tools have to be there. We have to express all those things, that we have collected this information through this tool, and the reliability of those tools, and everything is to be mentioned. This is that part. That is in case of either in the, we say the details of information which we have collected, how we collected and what are the results. And then after discussing all those aspects, there is another important thing is that the discussion is there. That is interpretations of those results. This is again an important aspect. You have to, your mind is to be there. Your ideas, your understanding about the topic, that is to be there. This is, the reason is, as for example, I tell you one from my research. I conducted a research study on Panchayati Raj leadership in Haryana state. Some of you may understand there are 3 levels in Haryana, not in your state, it is a different one. Panchayat, Gram Panchayat or Village Panchayat, then Panchayat Samiti level, and then District Panchayat. Different findings were there about their leadership qualities, about their performance, that was there. Even their educational qualifications were different. Not only that one, because our society is a caste-ridden society, reservation issues are there. The leadership style of the one caste group is different for another caste groups. Then you have to interpret it. Why this has been happening? And that kind of the discussion, that kind of the interpretation is either based on your understanding or based on your observation, or you might have collected some information relating to it. This is an important aspect. I tell you, in case of in Haryana, what happened, that the 8th qualification is compulsory for contesting election. And it is difficult to achieve that, but now they are achieving it. But in Panchayat Samiti and district Panchayats, there was no such issues. That kind of difficulty is not there in general, among general caste candidates. But in case of others, it was there. So that kind of the things, or that kind of interpretation, that depends upon either on data, or on your observation, or your analysis of things. That is how you observe it. If it is only the analysis of or your observation, then that becomes a hypothesis for further study. If it is not based on data, it is based on your observation, personal observation, or it is based on your analysis, then that has to be verified by the subsequent studies. Sometimes, if there is some researcher interested to know it, then they are doing it. If it is not there, then they are not doing it. So this is an important aspect on the discussion, and in discussion there is another important aspect. In the beginning, particularly when we discuss this thing, that there should be some research questions. Whether you have been able to answer that research question, that is to be there in the discussion. Based on your data, based on your experimental detailed information and the results, have you been able to test that hypothesis if you have framed? Or if you have framed any research question, have you been able to answer that research question by your research in the research paper? If you have been able to do it, the question is not there that hypothesis is proved or disapproved. The question is, you have to state whether that hypothesis is proved or disapproved. If proved, how, and if it is disapproved, why it is disproved, on the basis of which facts. So research question, in other words, we can say the research question with which you started to write the research paper, it has to be answered. If it is partially, it's all right. If it is completely, it is all right. If it is not both, then you have to suggest that why this research study is cannot answer the research question. But the question is, if you have not been able to find out that, then it is not a paper worth publication. The question is, partially or completely, you have to answer that research question. If it is partially, naturally, that partial answer of that research paper or that finding or that conclusion, that becomes a research question for further study or further research paper. This is again a very important aspect. Then in the last paragraph, sometimes we say summary. But here, I'm using the word conclusion and summary. Like the abstract, I'm saying by using the keywords, you have been able to write it in minimum words, 200 words, if you take the standards. But here, the conclusion and the summary, some conclusion and summary is two different things. It is not the same. Conclusion means that how you write your results in the format which fit in with the general knowledge or general theories of that particular thing. Somewhat difficult to understand. That there is some, as for example, I can give, urbanization brings urbanization. This is a general principle. Yeah, again, if I'm coming to that topic, women entrepreneurship brings economic empowerment to them. This is a general principle, and it is true. Urbanization brings urbanization also true. This is a theory, general theory, generally we call it. But if our research can prove that the social support system is contributing for bringing women entrepreneurship. Then we can say in our conclusion that social support system is bringing women entrepreneurship, which leads to their economic empowerment. This is the summary in a summarized, means in a theoretical knowledge form. Whereas summary is based on the contents, based on the data, based on the evidences and information you discussed in the research paper, you can summarize it using the keywords. In another way, conclusion is more brief in comparison to the summary. This is again, in case of sometimes in thesis also, I'll tell you the conclusion and summary is two different things. So at the end of the paper, you write its conclusion. If it is conclusion, if it is based on simply a lot of evidences are there, then you have to write the summary also. Sometimes conclusion and summary is made. That is, first you write the summary, and in the last statement or the last two sentences or one sentence, you are writing the conclusion in a research paper. Because research paper is of 5,000 words only. So that kind of the conclusion and that kind of the system that has to be there. And I think this is about the research paper, about the contents of the research paper and how to do it. Then another important aspect, how many minutes left?
15 minutes.
Huh?
15 minutes.
50.
Yes, sir. 1 point.
Okay, then there is a process also, academic writing process, not too much elaborate about it. I would like to, other people don't follow it, but it should be. Particularly, I tell you one thing, something just to relax you also. When I started my career at Punjab University, Chandigarh, as a researcher, rather a research investigator, my role was to prepare a rough draft of the research report. And my boss, he was a professor of sociology, and how we say that, and an intelligent person. I'm not saying scholar, intelligent person. Whenever we visited some place for a survey, he used to ask me, let's sit together in the morning. Just after going to the office, we'll discuss some things informally. Then he used to say, you narrate me the story of your survey, right from the beginning up to that. That is the sequences of the things and how we did it. Means that is a discussion part. What we collected, how many, we said that beneficiaries of the scheme we met, what kind of the interactions were there, how much, that kind of the things. That's a part of the experimental detail or something like that. Then something is made in mind that how to write the research report, that is a process. And he used to say to me, whatever I'm all because of that boss. He's no more in this universe. But as a really outstanding person and outstanding researcher, and intelligent enough, but not a good leader. That was his weakness. So, but I'm because of him. I'm all because of him, because he tell me that there should not be any shortcut, but you learn how to apply the shortcuts, that should be there, but don't use it, particularly in research, because those are not going to build up you. And this is why, that's why I'm saying that I'll discuss a little bit about the academic process. You need to follow it. If you follow it, then it's a good. Otherwise, the people don't. I'll tell you something is. Normally, the process is comprising this pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and proofreading. These are the different stages. Let's take up in case of the pre-writing, we say that gather all information relating to that research paper. This is what we call credible sources. Again, I'm telling you. And this is called research. Then again, when you collected the information, then you think something different. Can there be any alternative? My experiences. I'm narrating one aspect. You might have heard about SC/ST Atrocities Act 1989. Some of you might be. It was a year in 1992, 92 or 93. An invitation came to my supervisor, PhD supervisor, and he said to me that you write some research paper on that. So obviously I didn't have time for conducting survey or something like that because of, and my research topic was different. But I keep on thinking, what is it? Because that act, first time I go through that act at the time when I was asked to do that. It was at Lucknow University in Uttar Pradesh. There were only 2-3 papers on that. There were seminars were there, two seminars were there, and this seminar was, that is, for 2 days it was on social justice, then it is on Atrocity Act. So some ADGP in Police, Director General of Police, Additional, Agra range, there were so many atrocities in Agra range, on SC particularly. So he was called as chief guest and the key speaker. He made many kinds of the things, narrated experiences, and I've written a paper, and then they asked me in the afternoon session to present your paper because there are 2-3 papers and you have to complete or pass the time also. Then I have to start it like this one, that in the earlier session it was started, that the things were left at this place, now I'm taking up beyond that place. How can we do it when we have not conducted a research study? It is only by having some ideas in your mind. This is what we call the brainstorming ideas. You consider that kind of that kind of the situation and try to find out if there can be an alternative to it. What other ideas can be? Only the research or the data collection, data gathering, that is not sufficient, but you have to apply your mind. You have to think from your personal experiences, from your surrounding, how the things are moving and how those things are interacting with this kind of phenomena, social phenomena or atrocity phenomena in that case. Then, after doing this thing, organize that how to write it. That is, what to be first, what to be next, what to be last. This is what, again we say, it is what we call the logical and systematic structure. Most of you are finding it difficult. What to write first? In first chapter, in second chapter, in third chapter. I do agree sometimes it cannot be decided even at final writing, at the time of final writing. But you have to think about it. This is what we call the outline. And with this idea in your mind, this is what we call the pre-writing. You write something. As I was telling about my boss, he used to ask me, you narrate it, and then used to say me that you write something, give it in writing, maybe in sequence, may not be in sequence, try to be in a sequential sense, but this is what we call the pre-writing. This is again an important one. If you are writing a paper or a thesis, this is again an important aspect. Don't bother. It is correct or not. It is sequential or not. It is logical or not. There is no, doesn't matter, but you write. This is we say that the pre-writing aspect. Then after that, first draft is to be prepared based on your idea. Again, not necessarily in a perfect manner, it cannot be perfect also. And if it is perfect, then there may be certain inconsistencies and incorrectness. So whatever statement is there in the first draft, there must be some reasoning or there must be certain evidences. Don't write anything which you cannot prove, which you cannot reason. You must have certain evidences for that. Maybe your own, maybe the findings of other one. There is no problem in taking that kind of the things, but this is there. And here again, while making a draft, then try to adopt some logical flow. I used to tell my research students that your first sentence of your thesis or your research paper is to be linked with the last, we say that sentence of your research paper and the thesis, and in between there must be a sequential follow of facts. It appears that you are revealing the information, unfolding all kinds of the aspects, and that is also in systematic manner. This is what we call the drafting. And the third is, then you revise it. While revising, is the structure of the paper is coherent? Is there any is there structure which is clarity? You sometimes what happens? Ask your colleague or ask your friends to read it. Sometimes what happens that whatever you reading, you are thinking it correct. But if the other one is able to understand it in the right perspective, then it means your draft is having some sort of coherence and it is in a structured form. So this is an important one. And again, the flow is sometimes what happens that it should be like a storytelling. If you are telling a story, then there should be interest in reading it. Sometimes you are reading a novel that you will find that the last event is connected with the next event. It should be like that one. This is that has to be done. And while revising it, if you have to make any adjustment, if you have to make any modification, if you have to make any deletion, if you have to make certain additions, it has to be there. Sometimes you find that you have not given any kind of evidence in the research paper for that purpose, and that's why inclusion, exclusion, revising, everything, that is, we say, in the revising and then revisit. We say, in case of, I think it is, I don't know. Then, editing is another important thing, is language editing. Then, in case of language, we grammar, spellings. Really, it is very bad if your spellings are incorrect. Even if it is one. Even if it is one. Because the examiner will say, or the reviewer will think, that it is so casual, they're not able to understand it. Now the software is there. Maybe the university is providing it because it is expensive for individual to get it subscribed. Then we are also using it sometimes. And we say that there is another important is language needs to be very simple. It can be understood by all readers, whosoever interested in it. This is again an important aspect. That's why sentences should be there. And that is the style of presentation. And that should be similar throughout the research paper. In case of thesis also, it should be similar one. The presentation should be similar one. It should not be that we may use some kind of we said that some pattern in one paper, one part of the research paper and another in another part of the research paper, that should not be there. And lastly, we say the proofreading. I don't know, after doing that much of things, that the students may go for the proofreading. No one does. But everyone suggests it, do it. I'm 100% sure if you are going for the proofreading, you will make so many kinds of the corrections. Even in this presentation, when I made it, I didn't do that. But before coming here, I have gone through it and found that there are certain inconsistencies, it needs to be removed. So, proofreading is a very important aspect, and by the time you do it, you can have the better ideas, you can improve the quality, and naturally. Before coming here, I was at Panchayati University, Chandigarh. I was a resource person in that is on curriculum on public administration. I prepared a draft of the talk, but after attending the inaugural session, that there were certain ideas, then I changed it totally. That is the revising, that is the editing, that is the draft proofreading. So sometimes it is there, because while doing that proofreading, you come across with the idea, there may be certain development in that area, particularly of your research paper. So those are things, we say the final check, formatting, and we say that read aloud. You must share with your friends. Last thing, when my final draft for my thesis was ready, so I was doing proofreading. One of my senior colleagues, he was also my roommate by force. Sometimes in hostel life you understand all those things. He said that I'll check your final draft. He keep on asking, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And outside it was raining. So then I said that, okay, I'm putting off light and you please sleep. I'm also sleeping. So in the morning he said, that we got up and he asked me that yesterday night he was thinking I should throw out this man as well as the thesis in the rain and water, so that there may not be that kind of the hardship. The question is, sometimes you are reading it, and if you are reading to your friend, he may suggest something, and that is all. That may improve the quality of that research paper. With these things, I think I wish you that you prepare a research paper, send it for publication. Last thing, there may be certain observation on your research paper. There may be certain observation on your research paper. And you will think that I have done so much hard work and everything. It is a good paper based on data, it's good quality. And I don't think that a reviewer has done something that is not fair, and that's why brought certain weaknesses of the paper intentionally and something like that. But that the part and parcel of this paper writing. If someone is suggesting you to improve it, you need to improve. That improves the quality of your paper, not its. Again, an experience. It was an Asian survey and on rural literacy. I sent a paper. They responded me after 7-8 months. 7-8 months. I thought that the paper is not worth publication, and that's why I deleted everything. So, but at the time this mail was not so common, only a few people, and particularly social scientists, were not using it. So then I got a mail and they said that you make these additions and corrections in your paper. On these aspects, your thought are weak. Do it. Then I searched for that draft and something like that. Again typed it and improved upon that. And I'm really happy to tell you and share with you that Asian Survey paid me rupees 5,000 for that research paper. And that was the only remuneration I got in my career for writing a research paper. Not only that, when the editor, he was a professor, Sani, professor of engineering, then became the Vice Chancellor of Chaudhary University. By interacting on that research paper, he became known to me. We never met. But on phone, we interacted many times. It is because that is the standing in real sense. And when I was likely to be promoted as the professor, someone went against me to my Vice Chancellor. That is not a good person. Then I said to the Vice Chancellor, I am the only teacher in this university who could earn by writing a research paper. So there is no limit to that. These words, I am not appreciating myself, rather I am trying to motivate you that if you try to adopt a process, then definitely. I tell you that I am not an academician, so good academician, but only I think 23, 24 research paper in all of career I have written, and I am known by that research. Only the research paper can make you a good researcher, a good teacher, as well as respectable in your practice. This is all from me. If you want to ask any questions relating to this aspect, we are open. Anything or after the next instructions? I'm sitting. So that you can think of that.
I will not propose the water plants because you'll be taking the next session as well. So I will request all of us to take the tea and come back here.
Yes. Okay. Yes, if it is relating to that kind of research paper, then normally we call it a working paper, or if it's sometimes a very bigger thing. But in case of research paper, don't suggest it for research policy. It's something else. That is not of a decision making, and the decision making is based on so many kinds of information that you cannot say that in a research paper you can say this. Or
you are sitting here, right?
If it is relating to the policy.
Just distribute.
Yeah, the topic itself is of that. Okay.
집값 오다가 전 건대달이야 거의 갖다 내시는 얘기 떠오르네.
이런 긴장을 싫어 안 떠오르죠.
팅 누르고 있나?
Somebody is observing us. Okay, we'll talk.
यहाँ पर ऑर्डर किया था, यहाँ पर किया था क्या एड्रेस? अच्छा
चल पड़ी हो लेकिन कर दे।
पैर कैसे तो पैर जैसे ही रहेगा, वो अलग बात है। पैर अभी अभी क्या है? काम करना, काम के टाइम पे ना देखो है ना बोलो अच्छा तो मैं भैया नहीं हूँ ना।
ये भी भैया है, ये भी भैया है।
हाँ तो अंकिता दी है, मैं भैया नहीं हूँ ना। है ना, अंकिता दीदी है और मैं सूर्या हूँ। एक चका मारूंगा ना तो दूरबीन टेढ़ा हो जाएगा मेरा।
कैसा दीदी होगा
इसको बोलो
ये कुछ बोले थे, मुझे सुनाई नहीं दिया, अभी नहीं बोल रहे।
किसे बोलो?
क्या हुआ?
ऑल इंडिया रेडियो रिपीट नहीं होता बार बार।
बारिश में पीने पर होता है।
क्या बोला?
हाँ वो रात को आएगा,
हाँ रात को।
अभी नहीं आएगा।
अभी सब लोलाल हो गया।
नहीं वो क्या है ना भैया है ना, भैया का वर्ड इतना स्ट्रांग होता है। भैया सिर्फ भैया है एक बार।
ये पाव में दी
तो उसको निकाल दे। क्या चप्पल भैया वो ऑनलाइन पेमेंट कर दे, इंस्टॉलेशन एंड वो फी आती है ना यहाँ पर आने की जिंदगी में थोड़ी बहुत वर्कशॉप में इंटरनेशनल बोल रहा हूँ।
It's a gift for me. Well, Zakir, मेरा सुटकेस में रख देगा।
I feel like I'm getting 60 years old back home.
Like that.
Yes, please. I will have one. Easier.
मेरा मेरा जो और एक क्रॉक्स है ना जो शुभ्र पहनता है वो खत्म, वो भी नया लेना पड़ेगा। वो मोटा, उसका पेट बड़ा है ना, बड़ा कर दिया क्रॉक्स को उसने।
अरे मेरे पास इंटरनेट बड़ा आया तो मैंने रिटर्न किया ना, अभी रिटर्न करने से मतलब आएगा, एक्सचेंज किया ना आएगा, नहीं तो मेरा टाइम चला गया।
After the class meeting or maybe after meeting 20-30, there's a
सैंडल्स है ना
Yeah, even if we don't like, no?
yeah, we can have some other. Yeah. But for me.
That's birthday professor was.
Yeah, the ones mentioned.
You want to share please. Let us have the question. Yeah.
अच्छा आपका ये है इंस्टाग्राम में आपका अब इसमें मैं फॉलो करता हूँ फॉलो बैक कर लेना कर लो एक्सेप्ट कर लो ये हो नहीं रहे रिक्वेस्ट
I will work. How many people? How many people you bring? 10, 15, 20.
अच्छा आप ही कहाँ है
सिलचर का ये डोलू लेक
सिलचर नहीं है
डोलू लेक है
कहाँ पे है
सिलचर
सिलचर कहाँ पे
सिलचर असम यूनिवर्सिटी के ऊपर सिलचर से ये शायद
सोनाई रोड
नहीं उधर वन से
कभी तो गए नहीं मैं इतने बार सिलचर गए थे लेकिन कोई भी घूमते नहीं आई मीन लाइक
सिलचर से शायद 12-13 किलोमीटर वो उधर है। ये स्कूटी से गए थे हम।
अच्छा कौन है ये आपकी सिस्टर
नहीं मैं उसी दिन उसको जानी थी जब हम लोग गए थे
घूमने कौन है ये आपके फ्रेंड है या सिस्टर है
मेरा एक भाई है मतलब उसका बहन है।
क्या है आपका भाई का बहन क्या है
तो मतलब मेरा वो ऑनलाइन मतलब भाई बना।
अच्छा भाई और फ्रेंड साथ साथ बाद में कुछ हो भी सकता है
नहीं भाई
नहीं होता ना ऐसे होता है मतलब सबसे ऐसे बढ़ते जा रहा है
वो ये सब
ये क्या है श्रुति ने बोला था यहाँ जैसे इतना शौक नहीं है उसी ने बोला था ना स्वीटी या कुछ नहीं हाँ होगा सर।
नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं, मेरा मतलब मैं थोड़ा इंट्रोवर्ट हूँ, वही मेरा प्रॉब्लम है।
क्या
किए हैं
नहीं एक साथ बनेगा तो तुम्हारा डिफरेंट होगा बट अगेन फॉर्मेट सेम ही आएगा। तुमको थोड़ा वेट करेंगे।
मैं तो इन लोग के साथ आके भी मतलब कुछ अजीब सा लग रहा था ना, नए लोग हैं। ये के बारे में कुछ पूछा था ना, ये दीदी खाती है क्या? दीदी तब तक चीज़ तो मैंने पूछा, को मैंने पूछा मैंने तो पक्का किया था।
Hey, what's your name?
Hoki.
What should I pronounce it? Hokib.
Yes.
So you're from which university?
Yeah.
So which institute? अच्छा, कौन सा which department?
Good person. Actually, you are from local government, right?
Yeah, public administration.
Yes. I was also.
Yeah, your topic is same, no?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm staying in a hostel.
you're staying in the hostel. Same hostel?
No. Are you staying in a hostel?
No, my father is in EVS department.
EVS.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
senior
so where's your
professor
quota?
there.
Where's your quota?
Ma'am का quota is 4 quarters away. He's organizing. Sadeva, the organizers.
Okay, your quota is from science block side or this one?
अच्छा,
There are two teachers quota, right?
हाँ, multi-purpose hall, right?
Yeah. Nearby.
The old quarters. So you're under whom?
Devi, sir, Domino.
Okay.
So can I contact you sometime?
Yeah, sure.
I
He's
have.
there in the group. I have texted. You can. Again, I get so bad with names. So what's the name? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So you are from UP, right? Are you from UP?
Yeah. I'm from UP. My mom is from MP. I have a house in Delhi. So like that.
You are from Delhi?
Yeah.
Where?
Delhi there are places in Noida or this cheaper house Noida. But basically I've done my education like till from class 7. You're Mizo, right?
No. Actually, I am in Delhi most part of my life.
Acha, Safdarjung.
No. I live in North Campus.
Acha, no. Which college? You're from Delhi University? I'm from Delhi University. Acha, which batch?
I did my graduation in 2014.
Finished.
Yeah. No. I started in 14.
Okay. Okay, I started in 14. Same batch. IP College for Women. The Miranda House and all is there, no? Those सबसे कोने वाला college. Civil lines हो ना? IP College for Women is my college. Then उसके बाद I did my graduation from faculties, Hindu College. And for 2 years I was preparing for UPSC. I'm Zakir Hussain. You're Delhi person, right? So you have left Delhi or you still live in Delhi?
Since I came here, admission fee is easy, so I did not go there. But I plan on going
How
this.
many years? 3 years.
No. Maybe 10 to 13, something like this.
So you'll be saying in GTB Nagar, Vijayanagar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vijayanagar. Okay, so okay. I miss Delhi. I was in Delhi for like I think 8 years, 7 years. But the main Delhi, studying in North Campus and all that. I have a house in Noida.
फिल्टर दे दिया ये TFM फिल्टर दिया गया अच्छा मुझे भी करेंगे बैठ के एक साथ आज ये भैया लोग कहाँ
मंडे से प्रैक्टिकल हुआ है।
क्या
मंडे से क्या हुआ?
मंडे
आज तो थ्योरी खत्म हो जाएगा।
वो लोग बोले थे कि ये हाँ वो अलग ही देंगे ये
कहीं पे लेके नहीं जाएगा क्या?
आपने कितना नंबर दिया था दिखाना एक बार।
मैं आने दे रही हूँ। पहले दिन तो मैं थी नहीं, फिर भी दे रही हूँ।
क्या है ये? आप आपके हिसाब से तो सब लोग टीचर बहुत अच्छा है, excellent। सब लोग अच्छा है। बोरिंग होता है ना कभी कभी।
बोरिंग वो नहीं बता सकती, बोरिंग है करके।
देखो मैंने क्या नंबर
कोई
दिया,
नींद आता है।
क्या नंबर का मैंने
इसमें सेम दिया।
हाँ
किसका था?
ये
इनका तो मैं फेस भी भूल गई।
ये कैलकुलेशन वाला मैंने पूरी वाला।
वो जो खुद बोल रहा था।
हाँ हाँ वो इंग्लिश उसका प्रोनाउंसिएशन है ना क्या बोलते हैं वो समझ नहीं पाया तो मैंने एक नंबर दे दिया उसको।
और काले था जो खुद में ही बोल के जा रहा था ना, वो एग्जीक्यूटिव वाला।
हाँ वो ये
खुद में ही वो बोल के चला गया। उसका प्रैक्टिकल था लेकिन कुछ कराया नहीं।
इसलिए मैंने दो दिया ना।
इसका ही शायद सबसे कम है क्या?
एक ही क्या है आप सही से दिया करो ना।
चलता है इतना कौन, मैं उनका वो भी भूल गई कौन के साथ।
अगर किसी ने आपके साथ सर्वे लिया तो आपने ऐसे दे दिया तो ये एक उसका रिपोर्ट गलत हो जाएगा। अब हॉस्टल में रहता है। Are you staying in the hostel in subdivision?
घर से
You go by scooty every day.
बस स्कूटी है पास में।
You are from Sirsa. You know Sir Lalzom. I don't know him personally, but he's from same community with me. Same. I mean, tribe is same. Last time I was supposed to visit.
का कैबिन और हमारा सर का कैबिन एक साथ ही है।
अच्छा तो मुझे सर पता है, मुझे सर पॉलिटिकल साइंस है मेघालय से। मैंने भी एक दिए थे 2021 में सब यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए PhD इंटरव्यू दे दिया तो सेलेक्ट नहीं हुआ उसमें।
मैंने भी 22 में दिया था लेकिन नहीं हुआ था।
अच्छा
रिटर्न हो गया था और भाई नहीं आया था। मुझे बोला गया था कुछ फील्ड एक्सपीरियंस लेके आओ।
एडमिशन के लिए।
हाँ अभी 23 को दिया।
आप तो इसमें वैसे नहीं थे।
दिसंबर
आप कुछ मिले थे 8,000 या कुछ फेलोशिप या नॉन
नॉन-नेट मिलता है।
आप JRF थे।
करने नहीं हो रहा
आप घर में कौन कौन होता है?
भैया का शादी
हो
13 को
हो चुके हैं।
लास्ट वीक को ही हुआ।
अच्छा,
भैया मम्मी है।
एक ही बच्चे हैं आप?
नहीं हम 4 है, 3 बहन और एक भाई। तो दीदी लोगों का शादी हुआ अभी भैया का हुआ। और मेरी 4 ही है और भाभी को लेकर 5।
आपका एग्जैक्ट का लोकेशन क्या था है घर का?
मेरा असम यूनिवर्सिटी के पास बोरजालेंगा।
अच्छा, बोरजा से?
बोरजालेंगा विलेज।
Welcome back, guys.
Okay, Pastor. Pastor.
This is done, no? Yes, yes. No. Thank you.
So, almost a similar kind of a topic, but I'll say something different. And research report is wider in scope, the research paper is smaller in scope. Another orientations are different. And is it really? Not too bad. First of all, let's start with the what is it? In a very simple sense. Research is undertaken in various fields, particularly it's a different from academic writing. It's an academic writing. But the question is, the study group, institutions, even inquiry commissions, so many kinds of institutions, agencies, and the people, they are writing the report. So this format is for them also, and it is for thesis also. Even sometimes we say working paper, it is in between this research paper and the thesis. And nowadays working papers is in a professional sense, but necessarily you become a faculty member or the teacher in the university or college. You can be a researcher in some private agencies are also there, as well as government agencies, ministry departments are there. You have to write a report. Some reports are of 20 pages, some reports are 200 pages, and even 2,000 pages also. Those are the reports. As for example, your national education policy, that is also a report. It was submitted, and it was originally around 800 pages. Draft report. It was a draft report. Then again, government constituted a committee. Then it was reported. Something like that. So, first of all, what is it? Research report, as for example, we discussed with the research paper also. It is a systematic, articulate, and orderly presentation of research work. These are the three words. Systematic, when we call systematic, scientific. When we say that scientific means we follow there is a flow of things which has to be put up in a form so that we can understand that phenomena in a right manner and in a effective manner. This is again a very important. If I'm talking with you on certain aspect, I should present the things in such a manner that you must be able to comprehend it, to understand it in a right manner. This is an important, this is what we call logical or the scientific and systematic answer. Then again, it is articulate and orderly presentations. When we are writing something in your thesis also, you will write so many kinds of the things. As for example, in case of public administration, since I am a student of public administration, we have that is core view of public administration, planning, organizing, staffing, and so on. That is coordinating, reporting, testing, I know. So the question is in the similar way, in economics also, that how a document get completed. So different kind of factors or different kind of we say that facts, those are interrelated in such a manner we may produce something or we may arrive at certain conclusion. That's why we say we articulate those facts, we articulate those phenomena, the social, administrative or economic phenomena, and then after articulation and analysis, we present it in a style, in a format, so that it can be effectively understood. That's why research report is that, and that is also in this case, when we say research report, then it is the research that is systematic and articulate and orderly representation of the presentation of the research. But this is, it's a written document. It cannot be an oral document. So that we can present it orally, but that is not a report. If there is a written document and we are presenting it orally, then it is a report. Sometimes, because of statutory requirement, sometimes they will be asked to present the report before a governing board, or maybe a committee, commission also. This is again important. And political science students and public parliamentary committee report, it is there, then sometimes it is presented, sometimes it is deliberated after putting up on the table of the House. So, and with written documents, the important thing is the key and basic aspects are there in the written documents. That is, whatever the title of the thesis or not thesis, theme of the research study, that is very important. And the role is of research report that we are communicating with the stakeholders. Stakeholders means who are the readers or audience of the research report. I think before submission of your thesis, you may be going through reading each and every aspect, but after submission, I'm sure no one is going to read it again. And I'm sure that other person will not read it. Even if the examiners, nowadays it's a different one. Earlier when this technology was not there, examiner used to read it. And the purpose was that he or she wanted to understand that particular knowledge, as well as, since at the time number of students were not too large, and that's why only 2, 3 or 4, 5 research theses were there for evaluation, and that's why they used to go through that. And the source of interactions in academic interaction was only through that media. That was the primary media through which we were interacting. Academicians were interacting that way. But nowadays, only the things are that only relevant portions are being studied. Means the report is written, but only relevant portion. If something is, as for example, a review of literature, maybe interested, many people will be interested to read it, because that gives you an idea about that theme or about that kind of that area of research. This is again important. But the question is, if someone wanted to pursue the research on that particular aspect, when research supervisors sometimes are, you go and read the thesis on that particular thing, then you will be able to understand what is to be written and what should be, what work you have to do during your PhD course. I don't know whether you have gone through a research, gone through a thesis or not, or of, we say that of the similar nature or on the similar kind of the topic. May not be the same topic, but on similar kind of topic, then this is, and that's why it's communicate. This is again an important word, that it's communicate with those persons who are really interested in knowing the things relating to that aspect. And this is again a very important, when we say research report, it's a duty and it's mandatory also. Rather a question is asked from the examiner whether the student has the capacity, capability to exclude that which is not relevant and to include that which is relevant to us. If you know what is relevant to your topic and that needs to be included in the thesis or in the report, that's a very important decision that indicates or that reflects your understanding about the topic and your understanding about the research process. And through this thesis or through this report, this can be just in an effective manner, and this is what we call report. Then what research reports needs to do. This is again a very important aspect. I'm not going, I think my time is up to 5. 4:30. 4:30. Okay. That's all right. I'm planning according to that. One thing is like research paper, simplicity, clarity, brevity, positivity, punctuation. All these things are, we discussed there, but only a few things I'm going to think. One is the brevity. We say that thesis should not be unnecessarily long, lengthy. Giving an example. There is one teacher in a university. She said to me that I wrote my thesis in more than 400 pages. I couldn't reach it. Because the students under me, none of them have written more than 250 pages. And if someone has written more than 250 pages, I said, this is not, this is, who will go to read it? This is again, I don't know, you are patron your university because you have to, because rigidity is not there. It's a scientific presentation and it is a style, it is a format. Sometimes your guide is asking you that these are not sufficient pages, but I say, even if it is 60, 80 pages, in case of exact sciences, chemistry, physics, etc., there are many kinds of things that may lead to thesis. That may lead to the award of degree also if there is something. Again, I am repeating that aspect, contribution to the existing knowledge in the form of new knowledge, discovery of facts, or discovery of certain principle, or some generalization. Or it may be correcting the earlier existing knowledge, or verifying the knowledge. That's of a little bit lesser quality, verification of knowledge. But if you are discovering new facts, or new principles, or new generalization, three things, these are the different abstraction level of the knowledge. So if you are doing that, then in that circumstances, that research work really deserves, that thesis really deserves to be awarded with a degree, and that does not necessarily have more pages in that. This is again a very important aspect, and that's why it should not be unnecessary. Just compilation of facts. Compilation of facts is not a thesis, not a research. Compilation of facts means not that nowadays this technology is there, statistical tools are there, even software tools are there. So we can analyze the data, and after analysis we can present it in a very summarized form. So why to use the number of pages in just, it is not a storytelling. We said coherently, we said presenting the facts or different aspects of the, we said that research work in a systematic manner, and that is what we call brevity. And it should not be a incomplete document. The thesis title, well, after reading by an expert, he must, or she must be satisfied with the thing, with every aspect relating to that phenomena under study, that it is a complete one. It should not be. That is the brevity generally we say. Another important thing is positivity. We say that it is positive in the sense. Otherwise, I tell you, in your life, and particularly you are likely to be a teacher, I wish so. If someone is not positive in the approach, then I think it's not justified to be scientist or to be researcher or to be this teacher. That always come with positive statements in your thesis, in your research report. This is again very important, and avoid that what should not be done. Why should we worry about that? We are telling the facts. We are telling the generalized. We are working on generalized statement or theoretical aspects. We are trying to find out the solution of applied problem. Sometimes there is a applied, we say that research problem, and in that case we have to find out the solution. But the question is, if say that you don't do this thing, do that thing, that should not be the language of the thesis. That should not be the language of the report. Report expect that these are the facts, and on the basis of these facts, it is concluded. No doubt, policy implication is not a research work. Policy implication, as you are asking, that's not a research work. That is for the students of the public administration and the political science, and sometimes now the policy science is related to economics. But nowadays, economics is transforming itself to the commercial activities of the commercial knowledge. And then it is political science and the public administration mostly. And they suggest on the basis of the understanding of this particular phenomena under study, we can suggest this kind of the things must be there within the policy, existing policy framework, be modified. Sometimes we call policy cycle, policy analysis. This kind of the things may say that it may be with the preparation of the policy, or it may be termed as the feedback of the policy. So whatever you use, because it is, we say that some scholars use something in a different sense. The question is, but in case of research report, no doubt we are suggesting it as a part of the thesis, but if it is asked, sometimes in report also, government report also, sometimes it is asked that you suggest the policy. Only then we suggest the policy based on that study. But if it is not being asked, and if we are not suggesting anything, then thesis or the research report is complete. But since it becomes nowadays a trend, I'm not saying fashion, it is a trend. It is expected that you have not suggested. But sometimes it is expected that after doing research or reading research report, you suggest the course of action. As for example, some may say that implementation of this, if we take atrocity of this SC/ST Act 89 Act, certain amendments are also made there in, now. And its implementation, actually is quite good, but effective implementation is not there. Then they suggest that it should be made, the implementation may be made more effective. How? You have not suggested that. Everyone understands it should be made effective. What's your contribution? Either you suggest it can be made more effective by this manner. Then we can say it's all right. So, but it depends. If funding agency is expecting, if you are asked that you suggest something, only then you, if there is a trend, then you suggest it. But if it is not being suggested, only then we can say it does not mean that research report is not complete when normally there is a mandate that how to write it, what should be content and what is the style, what is the format and what is the different aspect to be covered in the research report that is there. It is expected by university, expectations are different. By government departments, it's different. By a commercial establishment, it is a different. By a inquiry commission, it is a different one. But again, whatever the format I am suggesting you, that is not final. That is, it should not be followed in manner that everyone go through, follow that. No. The purpose is that whatever you research, it is to be communicated directly to the reader who is considered to be the expected or the potential audience. And he or she or the potential audience can understand in an effective way that is the research report. And if we say that if it is in another way, not suggested by me, that is also correct. Another important thing is punctuation. This is again a very important and not much things in research paper also say. We say there is another important aspect which in a research report there should be their approach. If research report approach should be personal, if there is a personal interest. Sometimes one member commission is appointed, sometimes one person is appointed, that you make certain observation on this particular aspect, and normally this kind of report is written in first person. In case of research person, I said, it should not be in a first person, it should be impersonal. I, my, you and we, that should not be used. But here, if research is personal, that is inquiry officer, some judge is appointed to make certain recommendations, then they are free to do that. Not in research paper, in report. I'm not using the word research report. In report, this is how we say that can be used in it. And no doubt, if it is in first person, then it is in a direct speech. If research paper is there, it is in indirect speech. Direct, indirect, I think you understand it, are poor in English. And if it is an impersonal one, then the source of information, this is again, it is prepared as a source of information and factual one. And in third person and in direct speech, like in the research paper. We discussed about that. Then readability. If it is interesting, then the reader will read it. If it is not interesting, then you cannot compel, you can compel the reader to read it only through its interactiveness. After making it interesting, right? If it is a good one, sometimes you find film is bored. Sometimes it is interesting that even if you have to go on certain assignment, you are not going there, rather watching that movie or that kind of piece work. Sometimes we say that if you are interested, it's an interesting one. If you are traveling, then you can read it. If it is not interesting, And language is an important aspect to make it an interesting one. Not only language, but we say that it's presentation also. Even cover page, even this, the paper you used for the preparing that report, that's an important aspect. Although paper doesn't matter much nowadays, because your generation is reading online, not using the hard copy or something like that. But in our case, it is a different one. Then accuracy is a very important. This is inaccuracy should not be there. This is again a very important. If there is any information which is inaccurate, since it is published, or even if it is not published, it is a document, it is a record. And if someone is saying that it is not a correct one, then it is it cannot be said as the right kind of the research report. Then logical sequences, proper form and presentation to be attractive. These are the things which we discussed in the research paper also. That is logical sequences in the similar way. I would like to make a point. Sometimes, as we discussed, that relevant information is to be included, and if it is not relevant, it is to be excluded. But sometimes information is there, and it is indirectly related, not directly related, indirectly related, but not totally irrelevant also. In that circumstances, then it should not be there in the body of the main report, main part of the report. It should not be there in a chapter, if we take, if we say in the context of the thesis. It should not be in any chapter. Rather, it should be in the form of an appendix or in the form of appendices. The information which is not directly relevant but relevant, that may be presented at the end of the research report or at the end of the thesis. This is that important aspect, and that's why another important thing is, while writing the report or while writing the thesis, it should be in a planned manner. It should not be in a haphazard manner. It should be planned at the time of the proposal you submitted. I think you might have submitted the synopsis. And in synopsis, there is one aspect, tentative chapterization. In case of the chapterization, I tell you one thing. Most of the students, they do that. There are chapters like this one, tentative chapterization, they say it, and they should write it tentative also, because at the time of conceiving the idea or conceiving the research proposal, it may not be a final that what kind of information or what kind of which ideas will be included there in the thesis. But the question is, they used to write the title. As for example, in case of public administration, normally introduction, then review of literature, then methodology, then we discuss policy programs, then obviously the details, like administrative setup also. Then we say that primary information or secondary information, conclusion, and like this one. The question is here, that is, what's happening when we are writing that only the title page only. That's not a plan. When we are writing the introduction, then in introduction, what will we write? Are we writing the significance of the theme? Are we writing the different theoretical background of the theme? Are we writing that is the objective of the research? Are we writing what things are it? Is there any conceptual clarity or discussion on that aspect? Means a detailed plan of each and every chapter. That should be presented, that should be prepared at the time of synopsis. If you are doing it, then you are saving your time. It will be in a very systematic and planned manner. You will not get confused at the time of writing the research report or the thesis. But normally, because date is there, board of study meeting is likely to be held, and the department has said this thing, and guide does not have the time to discuss all these things. That's why that's not happening. but it is reality everywhere. And this is the question is, and this is a very important aspect. Anyhow, then there are certain principles that is that is to be followed. The quality, creative abilities, listening these words that saying something that don't know what kind of the creative. But I say creative abilities, imagination skills, experience, training and personality. I don't know whether these are natural or these are developed. But I tell you normally, I don't know about you, but I'm sharing my experiences. I was appointed as assistant professor based on my understanding of my discipline. But at that time I joined my services, I didn't know what is public administration. It is reality. Just reading from the books, this is execution of policies, public administration. Till date, I am not able to say that define public administration by any of. But it does not mean that it's not my understanding of public administration after 30 years or more than that. I can tell that this is the public administration. The question is, this creative abilities, imagination skills, experience, training, and personality. These traits or these qualities emerges based on your understanding of the discipline, understanding of that particular theme under research. But how to develop that kind of understanding that is based on your readings? How many papers, how many publications you have gone through before preparing that kind of the proposal? This is an important aspect. No doubt it is a talent. No doubt it is a skill. No doubt experiences can make you perform better, but doesn't mean that performance depends upon your understanding, and that understanding is your reading of pertinent literature on that particular aspect. I used to, or I failed to understand how it is. If you have not been able to ask any research, any question in classroom or in presentation, it means you are understand. There are two reasons. One is the education. That's there. And the second is your understanding about that aspect is limited, and that's why you cannot. Because if you have the understanding, only then you have the doubts. If you have doubts, it means you have the understanding. This is true. And sometimes on which area, I tell you, students used to ask, on which area or on which theme I should start my thesis, should start my PhD research work. They expect that the guide or supervisor will tell about it. I'm narrating an experience when I did my PhD. I was at Chandigarh and selected a research guide at Kurukshetra University, about 100 kilometers distance. I came 13 times to my research supervisor for finalizing me as a candidate and the topic. 7 times he was not available. At that time phone was not there. And that's why that was not culture. You cannot speak to your supervisor in a direct manner. You have to meet only. That was the culture. Nowadays we are available to each and everyone at any time, moment of time, that doesn't matter. But 6th time he met me, and when he met finally, 13th times otherwise. They say that, sorry gentlemen, I can't buy. So I said, I was just sitting on the chair, trying to get up, couldn't get up. It is a real story. Then I asked them that he became my supervisor later on. I asked him, what's the reason? You tell me you can't guide me. There may be certain regions, there may be certain incapacities in me. You tell me so that I can improve upon. He said many things that you are there, you have to leave the job and something like that. I said, okay, I'll do that. Because I want it. Then the thought that I'm telling it that creative ability is something that. Then I said that since his area is on rural development, I said that only which area I should work. Then he told me that you met that professor and at Chandigarh he will be able to narrate to you. I went to him. He was in Haryana Institute of Public Administration, a professor. I said that, what should I do in my research? He said to me, there are 200 books on rural development. Go and read all those books and come to meet me after 6 months. He was right. Although I was not right and I have not gone through all those books. But the question is that you have to go through at least in the literature, only then you will be able to find out a research problem in a very, very systematic manner. Only then you will be able to plan your study, as I was saying, that under different chapter what content should be there and in what area. Only then you will be able to prepare a research tool for survey or something like that. And only then you will be able to find out that what kind of the research tool, particularly for the statistical analysis, can be used for that kind of a study. All these things are decided at the time of your research proposal, and research proposal, while you are formulating it, if it is not based on your experience, then it cannot be said. That will create many difficulties. But I am not saying that without that you would not be able to do it. You can do it, but there will be so many kinds of the problems you will encounter that will create difficulties for that. But the creative ability, the imagination skills, experience, training and personality, all will come through this kind of the experience, and that's why that principles need to be followed. Then another important thing is there are certain other principles also. Selectiveness. You must have a capability that is relevant, what is not relevant. What is to be included and what is not to be included. This is based on your understanding of that particular topic. Sometimes you ask whether it should be included or not. Comprehensiveness. As I told you about in paper, research paper publication, this is again cost consideration. In research report, there is important because funding agency is doing it. You are doing it for your degree, but I'm not talking about only degree. Cost consideration is also an important aspect because when you are submitting a research proposal, like Professor Lakshmi was saying, you have to prepare it. But how much funds are required for undertaking that kind of the research? This is again accuracy, objectivity, clarity, everything we have discussed in that kind of reliability, language. These are the different principles. I am not repeating on this. Then the procedure, which need to be followed while writing the research report. No set procedure. If you are asking for fund from an agency, then the agency can prescribe a procedure. Then they can tell it. There are many kinds of the things. they can tell it that this would be the contents and this would be the procedure and this would be the, we say that that should be submitted within a stipulated time framework. There are certain statutory reports also. Legally, there is a prescribed procedure. That should be according to that legal framework. But here mainly we are concerned about our thesis. So that's why, first of all, this principle is there that you are free to adopt your procedure. But it does not mean that freedom is freedom. That's restricted by the needs of your research plan. This is the nature of your topic. You might have studied exploratory research of the formulative studies. You might be knowing it, descriptive study when the hypothesis testing is there. Then there may be certain experimental, different type of research are there. And naturally, as per the type of research, the procedure is followed. That is, if you are testing the hypothesis, then you have to take into consideration only reliable information or reliable data only. But in case of formulative studies, hypothesis building studies, you can ask anyone. That may be semi-structured, that may not be structured. That depends on many kinds of the things. And that's why, no doubt, you have the freedom to choose the procedure for preparing research report, but research, there are certain formats, that is, certain guidelines are to be followed. First, revising expectations. That's why I was telling, as per the type of research, objective of your research, objective of research study. This is important. Context. As again, if you take an example of women entrepreneurship, which entrepreneur? Basic question. Entrepreneurs of which age? Which families? In which industry? What kind of the enterprises? Based on earnings, incomes, based on investment. Don't. Means our research report is based on those facts. We have to select it, delimit it. As for example, that's CUI, that kind of scheme was there that was under 2020 economic program. Women employment opportunity, something, self-employment programs for women, something like that. So it was, that is in between 18 to 30 years age of entrepreneurs we discussed, because the scheme is meant for them. So this is that kind of the system. Now we say that the research objective or expectation, that's an important one. Then we say that if it is funded, as I discussed, then the steps are minimum and the step formats are decided by the funding agencies, and there are other conditions also. Sometimes word limit is there. This is an important aspect. I don't know whether what political belief you have. The National Education Policy draft was prepared in the year 2013 or 2014. And it was the Mahatma Singh government at that time. He appointed that commission. No, many things changed. And that was a beautiful report. After that, many things were changed and this, that. And the report is same. Document is same. Number of pages, though changed. Sometimes this is the word limit. Sometimes we say that it should be presented in that form. This is an important audience and the present and how that report is to be evaluated by whom. These are the some of the considerations which need to be there. Then, like the research paper, first of all, we must prepare the outline. And if you land it in your characterization in case of thesis, you need not to be much worried if you are prepared in that way. I told you that it should be complete planning after reviewing the articles or the other. But otherwise, it depends upon the data you collected during the survey or during your investigation, objectives, and requirement of the evaluating agency. This is again how many chapters will be there, how many descriptive and analytical chapters will be there, and what is the timeline. Maybe in 6 months, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 5 years, maybe the longitudinal studies spreading over many years. That depends. So all these things, keeping in view all these things, we prepare an outline of the report. This is again, but in case of you, it is 3 years at least. Research degree, PhD degree is 3 years, and 3 years is just sufficient time. You need to be keeping in with that aspect. And what is the format? It is, I think, 200 pages to 350 pages. In case of thesis, normally it is expected in the universities. Then the second guideline is relating to the arranging of data, different sources. Even your research plan, you have to tell it from where you will collect the data. Normally students write it like this one. Primary data and secondary data will be collected from the relevant literature reports. But if you know in advance that what are those sources, this is and what kind of the data is required, only then you can write it in a systematic manner. This is again collections of data. Which tools? Observation, interview, questionnaire, case study. What? This is again how you will process. I discussed processes means that is tabulation. I think you might have R, this SPSS. Many kinds of the techniques are now there. And do you know that for processing you have to, I tell you my time, in a very simple sentence. We have seeds like this one, big seeds. For each and every questions, maybe is to coding, decoding, we used to call it the master seeds. You are lucky now on laptop, you are filling up the details, you are taking the information, filling up in a format, and it is processed. But at that time it was used to be do manually. Processed means that you have to take into consideration what thing? Age is related to income, age is related to educational qualification, age is related to the with the area, age is relating to the caste. There are many kinds of the factors. And the processing of data, particularly in those software also, that is very much planned in advance before undertaking the research. And that's why the processing is an important criteria, and it is to be mentioned, it is to be stated, narrated in the main thesis. This is again, then the tabulation also, and relevant, irrelevant or pertinent data, that is. And when you start writing, we say that like the research paper, in the similar way, I am not repeating it because my time is, you have to prepare the first draft, like the research paper itself. And we say that you cannot be excellent in a single update. Your first draft, then the second draft, and then the final draft. Normally this kind of the things are there. And when we are preparing the draft, then we say that add, remove, necessary, unnecessary, inclusion and exclusion. This is again, but interpretation and analysis is very important aspect. In a tabulation of data, normally what you do, that majority is what? You start with the majority because that is the statement of conclusion. And if it is a significant number, means that we say most of the leaders, most of the means more than 75% at least. And we said majority of leaders, more than 50%. Sizable numbers, around 40%. You have to follow certain standards. And then those standards, you can write it, most of means, in notes. Notes and references, I think there is a lecture on that aspect also. I cannot cover that. But this is the important aspect, that your interpretation, your analysis and everything, that depends upon all those things. This is an important, that should be there. Review and rewrite it. To make it interesting, excellent, and language, etc. Like a research paper, I am not doing. There are certain types of reports. We say that monograph is there, small report, you can say.
അഭിഷേക് എന്ന വാക്കിന് വിവിധ അർത്ഥങ്ങളും
Different types of, not much of your interest, because your is, then the technical reports also. These are, we say that by the technical departments or on certain specific subject. And then there are certain popular reports. I will take up with this kind of the things. And this kind of emphasis is on simplicity, attractiveness, and liberal use of charts and diagrams, subheading and minimization of technical details. This is your thesis. Except in economics, if they are using econometrics and lot of statistics. If they are using that, no doubt it can be a technical report. It cannot be a popular report, or the thesis will not in this. And there is another important thing is, as we discussed it, findings and their implications and recommendations for actions, objectives of the study, method employed, results and technical. Means as is expected. In case of thesis. Policy implication, I suggest that may not be necessary, but if it is asked, then we can do it. Yes, now I got an idea. 73rd Amendment Act, when it was in proposal, no, rather it was enacted. Since it is a state subject, so Parliament passed that enactment, and after that the states were asked to implement it. Rather first adopt it and then implement it. Then one research journal, that is Kurukshetra, I don't know whether you are aware of this fact. They asked us that you write a research article on this particular aspect. I'm not talking about this Mizoram. I'm talking about Haryana, Panchayati. You know Panchayati, negative sense you know, but there are certain positive aspects also. I'm spotter of course. Not as a professor, but as an individual. But now those are not effective, and that's why we should not talk much about that. At that time, I think it was in 93 or 94 or something. Yeah, 94. That elections were due. Then the Kurukshetra, they asked us to write a paper that whether the women will contest the election in Panchayati Raj. It was really a question at that time, because no doubt it's not unknown in Haryana. There were 5-10 women who were there in the district panchayats or panchayat committee or village panchayat. Women leaders were there. But those are not because of they were the leader. They were because of the proxy of their families. So then I was asked that you just conduct a survey, because there was one option, co-option was there. Means after electing the panchayat, if a female panch is not there, then the panchayat will elect a woman. Panchayat member will elect a woman to be in the program, panchayat or village panchayat. That's a option. So that was there. So we asked from many people, the women particularly, not directly, rather through their husband or son. Directly, approaching directly to a woman at the time. That was difficult because they refused to talk to you. So we approached, and at the time our finding was of paper, that is that they will come and contest the election. They will come and contest the election, but they will not convince for election. This is true. Definitely they come because reservation was there. Their family member were not represented, male member were not represented, that's why they represented. They did simply either put thumb or just signed them. So in first election, but they contested the election. And after that, now everything is okay, they are contesting it and made 50%. And representation is, I think, more than 50% in the Chancellor institution. Once you become leader, you become forum every time. So it's a Mizoram culture is percolating there. So equality, equity, and this is what I'm trying to tell you by this thing. That is the suggestion, implications. If they ask to do, if they ask that you suggest this kind of the thing, whether this will happen or not happen, that is to be there in the research. Then next aspect is the format. There are three important parts. First part, main part, and appendices. The first part is cover page outside, title page like that one, certificate from your institution, table of contents. Then you want to thank someone, acknowledgement, not only your supervisor, your friends, your family members, but institutions, respondents, etc. Then we say that a list of tables and figures used. This is a table of contents is different, and list of table. Table of contents means the chapters, everything that is there. What is there in that document? And sometimes preface, forwarding, introduction, and summary report. In thesis, summary report is separate. Otherwise, in all reports, a summary is followed by the list of figures, and this is in this sequence only. I'm not explaining it. I think everyone you understand it. Then main report. That's the main part of the thesis. In first chapter, I think that's everyone is writing it as an introduction. But in that case, a statement of the objective, methodology, and research design, types of data, and its sources. I have not written as a first chapter. I am not giving it a title as an introduction, because some people make it 3 chapters, some people make it 1 chapter, some people. It depends upon the nature of topic. It depends upon the trend. It depends upon the pattern used in that particular institution. It depends upon whether it is a reports prepared by a government department, commission or committee, or it is a report, academic report by a scientist or by a scholar. It is in that. Then the sampling decision, data collection method, data collection tools, field work, analysis, up to field, that is data collection tools. I don't know whether to arrange it in what format, how, it depends upon you. That is, rather we say sometimes It is decided by the ego of your PhD supervisor. It is reality. You go with a plan and the guide will say, no, it is not correct, you do it in that way. Although that doesn't matter, but it depends on so many kinds of the things. Then sometimes you have to write something about the study area. So, although I have not written in this case, the profile of your study area. Normally in public administration we write it as the introduction, then the review of literature, then objective of the research problem, then statement of the problem, hypothesis, then we write the research methodology, then we take up this profile of the study area, then the profile of the sampled respondent if it is a survey based. If it is not survey based, then it is not required. So it depends upon many kinds of the thing. And in your analysis and interpretations, we say that data you collected, or your after the profile of the study area, you can write it, that how you conducted the field work, or how you conducted the experiment, how you conducted the research work, and thereafter, after getting the information, you analyzed using which tools and how those tools were applied. Are those tools relevant to that particular kind of the data, and that kind of the things are there, and then interpretation is there. Nowadays, that include table, charts, figures, etc. Normally, this chapter is a quite lengthy chapter, depending upon the volume of your data, your information, depending upon the scope of your study. I'll suggest all of you that there should not be more than 4 objectives of your study. Thesis. Better to keep it free. If you want to be good scholar, good in the sense, I'm just in a taunting language I'm saying like that more than 3 is not worth research even. Because awarding, getting a research degree is the beginning of research journey. Because the research degree is awarded in the name of your supervisor. It's not on your part. This is the reality of the academic world, not only in India, everywhere in the world. And obviously, I'm not saying that whatever you write in that, on the basis of that degree will be awarded. But the capacity, capability, and understanding of your supervisor is important. That get reflected in the thesis. And that's why everything is to be decided. Mostly, I don't know about the present generation, but at that time it is, in my time, I left it only 6 months ago. So this is that kind of the things, that's analysis and interpretation. It can be 1 chapter, it can be 2 chapters, depending upon because of 3 objectives. Because what I'm suggesting 3 objectives, that there should be except background, the first background information, that's up to the data collection tool or data collection method, sampling decision, and that kind of. There must be a chapter or interpretation in 3 sections. In 1 chapter, 1 objective discussion, another objective discussion, and 3rd objective discussion. In public administration, me used to suggest that there should be 3 chapters on 3 objectives. That's enough. And after awarding the degree, you can publish all the 3 chapters in the form of 3 papers. Not required to publish a book on that aspect, that's not required, because that does not carry any kind of weight. But the research paper publication based on your thesis, that popularize you. And there is one in economics, Finance India. Have you heard about economics? Where is that scholar? Yeah, you are from economics. Finance India is a magazine, journal. It's an international journal published in India, not claiming as an international journal. It publishes research paper based on thesis. Only based on thesis, otherwise they won't accept it. If it is a part of the thesis, and as for example, I'm telling my experience. That one common property resources. I think in this common properties, I will say common resources, land, etc., or forest also. So I guided a student on common property resources in Haryana. We call it Shyamlat land. So we published 4 papers out of that. Not in that format. After awarding degree, took a chapter, worked for a month. Worked for a month for 8 hours daily. Completed because research paper needs to be complete on that particular topic. So one of the paper was published in Finance India. And I tell you, my colleague now, she is Vice Chancellor in Sirsa University. We were neighbors. So I used to speak in Haryana and considered to be because of connections with the political leaders and something like that, contesting teacher selection, not considered to be an educated teacher. I'm not an educated teacher in the perceptions of the people. He said to me, with my first name, Ajmer, तुम पढ़े लिखे हो, कैसे पता लगा कि your article is there in the Finance India? You are educated? I really surprised that you are educated one and you get it published. It's so good research journal, but they publish only the thesis based on thesis. This is very important, and if you can publish in that, you are a well-known scholar because indexing is so much. And if you keep on writing, you can't, because you can publish 2 papers maximum or 3 papers from your thesis. If you are a student, I was not student, and only thing in common property resources, it was not economic aspects only, rather administrative and other aspects also. For other aspects, we published in another journals. So that's important. And lastly, that findings, limitations, and conclusions. Limitations, that is important because whatever you have not been able to research, that you have to tell it, because that will become a research problem for the new researchers. This is an important one. And on the basis of that, the limitation does not mean you can write it automatically, no. Because while doing the research, you could understand that this aspect also need to be studied, but you could not study it because the scope of your study was limited to that particular aspect, to those 3-4 objectives only. And no doubt, if you want recommendation or any other relevant information, that should be there, chapterization as per your own. Then summary, we say that summing up, appendices, many kinds of the things. Forum use, table not included in the main text, which are relevant but not directly relevant. Questionnaire, detail of sampling, if it is Lanthiman, statement of expenses, bibliography also, APA style or something like that. This is, or any other information which you cannot include it in the main part, that can be put up in this part. This is all about from me. I think, cross. And thank you very much for your questions listening. If you want to ask any question here, I can answer here. If you want that, let's outside, I can tell you. Anyhow, thank you very much. Professor Motula, Department of Public Administration and University. Thank you.
So you're all going to have a weekend, is it? No, weekend is over. Only one day, so you are all having only one day. That is also very tight Sunday in Mizoram, I know that. Anyhow, it is more fruitful this week. You will never forget in your life. especially Mizoram University students. On Saturday, I really thank everyone, those who are attentively listened today, and also sir was so kind enough coming over from Haryana and accepting our invitation, and delivered a 2-lecture after stretch. It's not an easy task. It's really inspiring lecture delivered by Professor Ajmer Singh Malik, former Vice Chancellor of
Chaudhary
University, Sirsa, Haryana. So it is nice to have you, sir, and also to share. You have given a long and enjoyed the way when you are teaching, when you are speaking, smile, telling that type of spirit is always needed for a teacher. Then alone the students can listen. That's one of the best qualities. If people should have, this much is enough. Further, I don't want to go. And so thank you once again, because this particular topic is really, I was also just another hearing. It is worth listening in terms of academic way of publishing articles, journals, research proposal writing. For this, separate workshops are out there, especially for separate workshops. Nowadays, I have some WhatsApp group. They are asking through payment for small, I mean 500 rupees, 200 rupees, 300 rupees. Finally, no one this much of rich experience, which sir is having more than 35 years of experience, he shared with you. So those type of knowledge you cannot be replaced by any robot. Okay, thank you so much, and keep in mind and again refresh yourself. Otherwise, the job of a brain is forgetting.
Okay, thank you.